Have you ever been disrespected at work? In this video, I'm going to share with you a few strategies that you can start to implement into your schedule, into your day-to-day workplace, if you have ever been disrespected at work. Now, I will say that when this happens, especially as a leader and especially as a woman in leadership, it can be very frustrating. And we are often left with not knowing, well, what exactly should I do in this situation? Well, if you can watch this video until the very end, you will have at least a few solid strategies in place that will help you to be able to manage the situation when it happens. It does happen, and I want to share with you my over 20 years of experience as a C-suite executive, a manager, and a director, and a public speaker to help you be able to fast track your career and be able to communicate when you have those very challenging and difficult situations that come up. What happens in the workplace setting is that we're really busy. We're busy, we have a lot of things that we're working on, and most of the time, the leaders, the individuals, the women in leadership that I work with, they're very, very positive and very optimistic. And oftentimes they'll come into work happy, ready to go, and then someone says something rude. And so I want to make sure that you are in a good place to handle yourself when those situations come up, so you're not being the very highly emotional person that is not being a consistent leader in terms of your role that you have right now. Now, on this channel, I talk about a lot of great information in terms of communication as it relates to executive presence, interview preparation, salary negotiation, etc. I believe that people become great by how they communicate. And I want to unlock the greatness within you. And for me to be able to do that, I have to show you these strategies, these techniques that many people don't talk about that can help you really communicate at a higher level than your peers. So I have a base of clients that I specifically work with, which is women in leadership. However, I have some really great men in leadership on this channel as well and on other platforms. So when I talk about leadership, there are certain aspects that I do focus in on women because that's the audience specifically that I actually work with in terms of client base. However, I do want to let you know that this audience is for the men in leadership too. I appreciate everyone that's here, that's been present, and I want to make sure you go to the next level in your journey. If you're watching this portion of the video, you're probably watching the replay. Give me just a few moments so I can say hello to everyone that has joined live, and we'll go right into what you need to do if you're disrespected at work. All right, so let me say hello. Death Plays Tag, hello, welcome. Raymond Romero, welcome. How y'all doing today? If you want to know what you need to do if you're disrespected at work and still present yourself as that very polished executive, as a leader, then you absolutely want to watch this video with me live and ask me any questions. I have over 20 years of experience in very friendly and very contentious situations as a director and a C-suite executive. So ask me. If you've had this happen to you, let me know in the comments below. But I want to ask a question to you all first before I do that. So give me just a moment. And I'm going to type the question in. Let's see if it actually appears today. Yesterday when I did a live, it did not show up. Give me just a moment. I'm typing the question. So let me know your answer to this question. Now, when I put the question here, it's going to appear on the front of my head. It just will. So answer the question, and as soon as I'm done, I'm going to put it down. All right, here we go. Okay, so question, have you been disrespected at work? Let me know. I'm going to try to see if I can move this for those of you who are watching live today. Sometimes YouTube allows me to move the questions, and sometimes they do not. But in this case, it's not. So the question is for the individuals that are watching the replay, because you will not actually see this, is have you been disrespected at work? Let me know in the comments below. I know I have been disrespected at work. It's happened before. And so I want to give you some feedback in terms of some strategies that you can do from a communication standpoint to really manage these situations. So I'm going to take the question down so you all can see my face again. And if you're watching the replay, let me know if that has happened to you before. So what happens oftentimes when people are being disrespectful, sometimes people may just be having a bad day. And if they're having a bad day, we understand that, but that doesn't mean that they need to be disrespectful, correct? The first strategy I want to share with you all is if someone is being very disrespectful to you, is to observe. This is a time where you want to be very observant in terms of what's going on. What is this person doing? Specifically with their non-verbal gestures. You want to watch their body language and see exactly what are they doing? How are they behaving? Is this normal for them? Is this not normal for them? You want to observe just so you can gain a baseline in terms of what they're talking about or why they were being so disrespectful. Now, if this has happened one time, you may want to see like what's going on specifically, because everybody can't deal with pressure as a leader, and sometimes they act in disrespectful ways. So if you like this information so far, feel free to like this video so it goes out to more people, and ask me any questions. If you've ever been disrespected at work, what have you done? What did you do? I want to know while I'm sharing some strategies with you. Now, as I mentioned, the first thing you want to do is observe. You want to observe and see exactly what is going on with everybody or with the person that is specifically being disrespectful to you. Once you've observed and you have an idea as to this person looks like they're agitated or looks like maybe there's something else going on, your second strategy, and this is actually one of the most important strategies that people tend to struggle with, is outside of observing, you have to have your executive presence at a very, very heightened level. What do I mean by that? When you're being disrespected, the immediate reaction that most of us have immediately is we want to say something. I can't believe you did this. Why did you do this? What's your problem? And etc. I encourage you not to do that. Even if you've been disrespected at work, don't go out on the emotional side. There are ways that you can strategically say your point and address someone that's disrespecting you, but you do not have to go to the very immediate first thing that comes up for you that says, you're emotional, you're mad. When you're trying to really elevate yourself as a leader and present yourself as an executive, you have to be consistent. You really have to be at a place where you can help other people, but still be yourself. So I want to say hello to Nanskis, I believe it is. Well, Nanskis made a comment. And so Nanskis, so if this topic actually is very important. So if you are at a point where you are actually a leader and you're trying to elevate and help other people, you may have encountered situations like this. So in your case, specifically, if this isn't important to you, then you don't have to be on this live, because I actually help individuals become communicators and indicate how they can manage those specific situations. So what do I do when these situations come up? First, you have to just acknowledge that this is a situation. So in the case of Nanskis, this is a situation where Nanskis is just being a troll. That's all that it is. And so when this happens, you have people on here that they're not really about trying to elevate themselves, and that's okay. I appreciate you for stopping by and being present. I appreciate that. But ultimately, this is probably more of an advanced topic that you may not be able to grasp just based on your comments that you're making right now. Now, I do want to stop and say that I mentioned that you have to observe first. So observation is very important. The second strategy is going to be that you have to have your executive presence at a heightened level. It has to be at a heightened level, must be at a heightened level. So what does that mean? You have to conserve your energy, because what happens oftentimes when you have this particular individual that is being disrespectful to you, then that person is going to be rude, more than likely. Very, 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 very rude. And you don't want to go off emotionally. You want to make sure that you are at a place where you can manage this in a very specific way. So specifically, what can you do? Be very direct in your communication. So if you have someone that comes up and says something like that, be extremely direct. You don't have to be aggressive or mean or anything along those lines, but keep your statements very, 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 very concise. Very concise. And so you do that by not saying too much. I've noticed that when people get emotionally worked up when someone's disrespected them at work, it's a lot of energy that goes into it. So if you can conserve your energy and not say too much and be just very focused in your communication, it almost helps to put you in a bubble, so to speak, because you're not speaking that much. You're taking care of your task, whatever it is that you're doing in your role, but you're at a place where you are still being the executive. The executives are the individuals and the leaders are the individuals that are not the people that are going to be highly emotional if someone disrespects them. They're going to address it, but address it in the right way. So conserve your energy, be very direct in your communication, and just stay in your lane. I know people say this, but stay focused on the task that you are doing. Highly focused, because if someone's being disrespectful, you don't have to engage with them. You don't have to communicate with them. You don't have to do anything you don't want to. If they're being disrespectful, just stay in your lane. And then follow into my third strategy, which is determine if you need to say something or not. Now, I want to know from you, have you ever been disrespected at work, as I asked in the beginning of the video? If so, what did you do when that happened? Let me know in the comments below. Now, you have to determine if you want to say something or if you do not want to say something. There are times when someone may say something that is disrespectful that needs to be addressed immediately. There are no second chances. This is something that someone says, you have to stop it. You have to stop it immediately. There are times when someone may say something that might not be entirely fully disrespectful, but it's something that is not appropriate at that particular time. And you have to determine, is this one, a consistent behavior of this individual? And if it is, then this is a topic that you absolutely need to talk to them privately. If it is something or a topic or something that comes up and this is the first time, then I usually say, what's going on with this person personally for them to act in this way? If you have a coworker or a business partner or an associate that you work with consistently, and one day they have an off day and they say something that is completely inappropriate, then you want to check and see what's going on with them. They may have some type of personal dilemma that's factoring into their workplace. People really do struggle sometimes with keeping home at home. They tend to try to keeping work at home. I'm keeping work at work. Let me clarify. So sometimes they struggle with keeping work at work and they bring it home, or vice versa. They may bring home to work. And we're people, we're humans at the end of the day. So sometimes this actually happens. But I want to encourage you that everybody's going through things and you never know what people are going through, especially if they act out in a different way that you were not really expecting and is not in their normal character. So just find out. But if you've decided that it's something that is a one-off and you still needs to be addressed, then you need to address it. But if you find out it's something that's happened, maybe this is the first time and it's something that's like, I don't know if I want to say something or not. Sometimes you may just need to go back to strategy one, which is just to observe and just see what's going on with this person. Is this consistent in terms of what they're doing in terms of being disrespectful? You have to figure that out. It's very, very important. So let's go into if you need to say something, right? Because most of the time, if someone's disrespecting you at work, you absolutely need to say something to them. So it depends on the structure. Of course, there's different layers. There's different corporate layers. Did you talk to your manager? Did you talk to your HR, and etc.? So I'm not focusing in on that. Those are important aspects when you have some type of contentious conversation that's going on at work. However, if someone's being disrespectful, you may want to ask them to clarify what they meant. And I found that oftentimes what happens is when people are making those disrespectful or very snide comments, they are not expecting you to say something back to make them ask a question. Most of the time, I have found that these individuals, when they're being disrespectful, they are just mad and unhappy about something in their life that you have absolutely nothing to do with. And what they will do is they'll say something disrespectful and think that it's okay. I'm just going to say what I want to say. Or I'm just hot-headed. I just say what comes to my mind. That's not being a leader. You have to be a bit more controlled when need be, strategically, because sometimes you do need to show emotion as a leader and let everybody feel your emotion. But I would say if someone's being disrespectful, they may think that they can just say whatever they want to say, and that is not okay. So what I found that you can try to do in terms of a strategy is if someone says something disrespectful, ask them to can you please explain to me what you're referring to? This is a time where you have to use your nonverbal body gestures and really make them as stoic as possible. This is not the time where you want to say, can you please explain to me what you're talking about? No. If someone's being disrespectful to you, that face goes away. You need to really showcase that you are very focused and very inquisitive about what specifically they're referring to. So what do you pay attention to? What kind of nonverbal gestures should you start working on if someone disrespects you and you want to talk about it? The first thing is your eye contact. Now, if you have watched any of my videos on my channel, I hope that you have watched at least one video about the cowboy. The cowboy is very, very, very important. The cowboy is an analogy that I use for eye contact. I'm not going to go into detail on it now, but there is plenty of videos about eye contact on my channel that you can watch that will tell you about the cowboy. So if you want to learn more about the cowboy, how it will change your life, leaders, then check out some videos on my channel specifically about eye contact. So the first, you want to really maintain eye contact. You want to maintain eye contact to those individuals and have a very, very, very focused look at them. Not a scowl or anything along those lines, but you still want to make sure that you're being very focused on them. The second aspect of your nonverbal gestures, which is also important, is your eyebrows. So your eyebrows don't need to go up like you're surprised. You need to say it with really straight, the most stoic face you can make when this situation comes up. Because the person that you're speaking to that's been disrespectful needs to understand that there's a change here. So if you're normally that very happy, jovial person that comes to work, and then you suddenly switch and you turn into the person that's looking focused, like, what, can you please explain to me what you are referring to? Then they're going to feel that something has changed here. Maybe I need to think about what I just said. And then they'll start coming up with a response, and they may say, oh, I meant to say this specifically. And they may try to clarify or correct what they were saying. So those are a couple strategies to keep in mind that may happen when this occurs. So I mentioned to you about how can you control your nonverbal gestures. We talked about eye contact. We talked about your eyebrows. Next, and most importantly, are your lips. So you want to make sure your lips are not in the smile face. No, they need to be very straight. Just like this. They need to be straight because you have to let this person know verbally and non-verbally, which is so important, that there is something wrong with what they said. It is not okay. And many people struggle with this because they think, well, what do I say? What do I say? What am I supposed to say when this situation happens? Well, what you do is you have to say something, but your nonverbal gestures should say something also. So if you can put both of them together, when someone disrespects you at work, it is going to change the situation dramatically. They're going to say, oh, maybe I said something wrong, because you're saying it back to them. I have personally used this strategy myself countless times over the past 20 years. And as I mentioned at the very beginning of the video, I have been in some very friendly situations. I've been in some very contentious situations as a director and as a manager and as a C-suite executive. And I have found that if you can start mastering these specific situations as a leader, now if you are just not in leadership roles necessarily, you may not encounter this as much, or maybe you will. It just depends. But if you can master there's 3 strategies I mentioned to you, and for those of you who are joining, welcome, welcome. Glad you're here today. I wanted to highlight those 3 strategies again for those who just joined. So the first strategy, if someone disrespects you at work, is you have to observe. And if you want to watch the replay, feel free to check that out because I go into a bit more detail. So you want to observe first and see exactly what is going on here. The second strategy is your executive presence needs to be at a very heightened level. So you really want to focus on conserving your energy and not being highly emotional when someone disrespects you. You have to be able to learn how to manage that in a way to where you still can address it, but you're addressing it like a executive and a leader. Third, and finally, as I mentioned, is you have to determine, do you need to say something about this or not? You have to determine which one you're going to do. And depending on your response, if you decide you need to say something, then we talked about how you want to maintain your eye contact, how you need to really control your eyebrows and your lips as it relates to your non-verbal gestures when someone disrespects you, and how you can repeat back to them and ask them to clarify what they said so that they understand and recognize from you that something they just said did not sound correct and they need to basically correct it. This will help you as a leader. And if you're in a leadership role, unfortunately, there's not a book out there that says, every time you deal with a very rude person, do this as a leader. It's not. And so you only are able to learn this type of information if you have been in a situation where you've been in contentious situations like myself, where you've been able to be very successful in it. Now, I hope that this is helpful to you. I do want to let you know another video that you may want to check out on my channel that specifically talks about this is eye contact. As I mentioned, the cowboy, definitely remember the cowboy. That is my favorite analogy as it relates to eye contact. So there's several videos here that talk about being able to maintain eye contact. Handling yourself under pressure is another great resource here on my YouTube channel. It's really important for you to learn how to handle yourself under pressure, especially as a leader. And then I also have another video called Patience and Leadership. So I have a lot of great resources here. Just spend some time on my live videos. I go live Tuesday through Friday, and I've done live so much that YouTube invited me to be a member of their live streamer research panel. So I've been able to do a lot lives, and that's where I spend most of my time, but I am about to continue with my lives, but I'm transitioning into back to my pre-recorded videos of some leaders that inspire you, so I can help you learn some of their strategies so that you can inspire other people as you are on your leadership journey. Let me know if y'all have any questions. I want to know from you, what are some of the topics that you all want to learn more information about? Put them in the comments below. Let me know. And I'd be happy to do a video just for you. If you want me to give you a shout out, I will do that as well. I've done that many times on my channel for my followers that know that I've done videos for them. So I'm here really to support you on your journey as much as I can. So I'm looking forward to seeing you all in the next video. Bye for now.